So I'm going to organize my remarks by 30 to 35 minutes of dance stylings. Then there'll be audience participation after that. So yes, excellent. So I am Jai Ranganathan. I'm so glad to see you all today. And I have to say, this is my first WordCamp. I know. My first contributor day. And I was kind of like an anti-contributor because people around me were so interesting and so exciting. I was stopping all activity by just having conversations. That's me, a weapon of mass distraction. So here, I'm going to talk. I'm Jai, and I have, do I have a doctorate in biology? Sort of, but I really have a doctorate in awesomology. I'm an expert in all things awesome. And I want to tell you, well, I want to do two things today. I want to reveal a mystery. And then I'm going to tell you a story. But let's start with that mystery. Here is an incredible handmade sticker by me, which you could have yourself. How do you get the sticker? You have to wait till the end of the talk to find out. That's the mystery. And the story. Well, as I said, I do have a PhD in awesomology, and that's why I know you are awesome. You're here. We're here at WordCamp, WordPress. Let's hear it. Clap. Yes, clap. Clap for me. Clap for me. For me. You're awesome. But I really want to tell a story about, well, it's a story about me, because, you're awesome, but I am definitely very awesome. It's a story about me, but it's also a story maybe about you. It's a story about a scrappy upstart organization that used WordPress to become better than they were before. And maybe it's a story about how you could use those same tools too. So, well, you are awesome, but to sort of advance it, really, graphic data is awesome. And, well, that's the obvious question. Well, as I get to the story, I'm going to kind of ruin it a bit by getting right to the end of, well, what's my punchline here? You're supposed to lead with your punchline. That's the whole story there. We built graphic data, an open source WordPress platform for displaying interesting ideas with graphics and data. Use it. Collaborate with us. I want to talk with everyone in this room and people live streaming. I want to talk to you too. But I know what you're asking. First question. What are national marine sanctuaries? You're wondering it. So, national marine sanctuaries are the way the US federal government protects oceans and lakes all over the US and US territories. You can see it goes pretty far, all the way down to American Samoa. I'm based here, Channel Islands National Marine Sanctuary, based out of Santa Barbara, California. Santa Barbara, California, a sunny place for shady people. So, here we have it. Here we have looking off of Anacapa Island, looking out a beautiful place. So that's Channel Islands National Marine Sanctuary. That's Channel Islands National Marine Sanctuary. That's the sanctuary. But it's more than that. It's people too. And we do some pretty cool things. Like, for example, shark hugging. That's Ryan Friedman up there, that animal he's holding. That's a great white shark having the weirdest day of its life. It's being pulled out to get tagged. And it's a weird thing. It really is getting pulled by aliens because it gets pulled out of the water. A receiver, or the opposite of a receiver, a transmitter is surgically implanted and it's thrown back in the water. So that's what we're doing. We do shark hugging. Great whites are not so excited about it, but everybody deserves a hug. That's us scuba diving with a giant bass, Channel Islands. And that's us recording stuff, all sorts of important stuff of eelgrass. Why does eelgrass matter? It does. Come talk to me afterwards. I don't have time to talk about it now, but eelgrass is awesome. I want to talk to you about it. But there's so many other great sanctuaries too. Let's go down to American Samoa, where I was at the sanctuary 3 months ago. Ah, beautiful coral reefs. That's the sanctuary. That's the sanctuary. Looks beautiful, right? It looks like beautiful tropical paradise. I was there for a week. There was an exactly one 15-minute period where it wasn't raining sideways. That was that period. So there you have it. So there's sanctuaries everywhere. But you know, these sanctuaries, we've got a problem. I kind of hinted at it. And that problem is this. Well, I forgot. Well, before we get to that, national marine sanctuaries are big. They're about 2 million square kilometers, which is like Alaska plus California together. These are not, you know, on maps, Alaska's a lot bigger than California, but I couldn't like squeeze it quite right. You know, that's the islands that go way out, so it's big. But anyway, the sanctuaries, they've got a problem. They're choking, collecting. We're collecting so much information. That's supposed to be a hipster dinosaur sinking in the data. That's what's out. That's why he looks so sad. And it being the government, in the year 2025, how do you think we're releasing this information? Anybody want to guess in the audience? Email. How's it going? Index cards would be another good option. The answer is PDFs. So there's that. That dinosaur looks very upset about it. And if we scroll up, we can see there's one of these condition reports. That's you can't quite see it in the back. That's 485 pages. And these kind of reports are kind of the perfect example because everybody hates it. Staff hate writing them. And in fact, they're so hard to write. The staff who wrote this report won an award for writing because they're that hard to write. Obviously, they're really hard for end users, fishermen, people who care about Sanctuary to read, and it's instantly out of date. These things take 10 years to write. This is the last report from Channel Islands. You'll see it says 2016. What happened in 2020? What happened this year? I don't know. Well, I know what you're thinking. I mean, let's put our big brains together and ask, like, there's got to be a better way. What if, and stay with me here, you don't have a PhD in osmology like I do, but try to stay with me. What if there was a website? I know, crazy thought. So, we tried that. And, you know, we tried it the way we knew. And I should say, we have a couple of problems in the Sanctuary system. We're small, but mighty. We don't have a lot of expertise in web development. We've experienced in great white shark hugging. We're very good at that, but not so good at web development. And we're resource constrained, cash strapped. You know, I have a Patreon. You're welcome to join. I'm very excited about it. So what do? How do you build a website to show all of this like really awesome data we have to the world in a way that we can actually do? Well, we tried a way that seemed to make sense at first, which was a first take, a site built in R. And, you know, it's kind of like Jurassic Park. You know, like Malcolm says, I think the mathematician, that's Malcolm? I can't remember. He says, like, everybody thought about whether you could do it. No one said whether you should do it. Is that the way around? It's that way. Whichever way it was, think of it that way. So we built the site in R, all pre-rendered R Markdown files, and it literally took a PhD to use, and making a code change, you needed both your fingers and toes crossed. It only worked under certain astrological signs. It was a mess. And so here's kind of what it looked like. And it just was a no-go for our organization, because a site like that's fine if you've got like a whole big staff of people to run it. But what if you don't? What if you have all these people out there just hugging sharks all the time? They got no time for this. So that's out. Okay. Now, stay with me here. What if there was some web system that was easy to use, that many people use, that people are passionate about? I mean, you can't possibly think of such a web system, can you? I mean, that can't possibly exist. Did someone say Drupal back there? You're ejected right now. That's all I have to say. That's fighting words. I have a Drupal 11 site, and I hate it so very much. But of course, the answer is WordPress. So take two. The reason the Stegosaurus is leaping for joy, because it's so much better. So we said, we're going to try. So we took that R site. We said, despite having put so much time and effort, it was like, OK, we got to start over. Dead end. We're going to do it in WordPress. We're going to build something we're calling graphic data, which is a connected plugin and theme to show our awesome data to the world. OK, maybe the first thing is to actually kind of show, before I get there, this isn't just me. I am an egomaniac, but it isn't just me up here. There is a team. They do make us dress like this. It's not very comfortable. It seems cool to have a cape, but it gets caught everywhere and all spandex all day long. I don't know why they make us dress like San Diego Comic-Con. I don't think it's a good idea, but this is how we dress. So there's a whole team. We're always grim all the time. It's a thing. So what's the approach? The approach is kind of three things. We engaging for end users, meaning we put artwork first. So really engaging for end users. Easy to use for staff. Remember, we're a bunch of shark huggers. We're not a bunch of web developers. And there can't be much ramp up either. And it actually, and by the way, it also has to actually deliver the goods in terms of data viz. That's kind of important. So how do we do that? Well, if I'm at the right slide. OK, and so we implemented this on our site called Sanctuary Watch, which is where we show our data to the world. And there's the website. And hopefully now will be a demonstration of that. Right, OK. So the idea here is we kind of put visuals first. And so, for example, here's the sub-site for American Samoa. Everything is based upon these clickable visuals in a graphic. That's the whole deal. So we're going to click on one now, which is human connections. And that opens up another one of these scenes. Again, highly visual. If you click any of these buttons, you'll see a modal come up. It takes a second to load. And you'll see, for example, here's a figure created in Plotly. So it's an interactive figure on Plotly, but there's plenty of other ones there. But suppose your figures are just static. We can handle that too. So for example, here, this is a case of just an image, for example. So we can handle many image formats, whether it's interactive or just a static image. But OK, I know what you're thinking. This is a smart crowd. I can sense you're awesome. You're awesome. I'm an expert in awesome. I can sense you are awesome too. You're saying, but Jai, this can't work. I mean, what if I'm not? That's a desktop. This is meant for mousing over. What if I don't have a mouse? Got you there. Well, no, you don't. Ha ha. We thought of that. There's tablet view. So here's a tablet. So if you're on a tablet, which the thing senses, the things that are clickable sort of highlight on and off on the screen. OK. Now you're thinking, but Jai, I don't have a tablet either. I just have a phone. Got you there. Well, no, you don't, because we've got a mobile view. And here, essentially what we're doing, the same view as before, it auto-extracts all the icons from the screen, and you just see the icons in a grid, all done sort of client side. And if you want to see the image, you can. It still shows up, but nothing is clickable there. But I know what you're saying. But Jai, I only have an Oculus headset. What do I do now? And the answer is, you're on your own. OK, so let's get a little bit into the details. What is this? So I mentioned this kind of a plugin and a theme. So I'm just going to very short of what this is. And so this is our hipster dinosaur getting under the hood. That's the idea. It seemed to make sense to me in my mind. I don't know what sense makes now, but to me it seemed to make sense. So we're not using Gutenberg. This is all pre-Gutenberg. It's all just web forms associated with custom post types with a ton of field validation happening on the PHP side. Where's the JavaScript side? I think it's both. OK, and here's just an example. It's just a bunch of web forms. So, and the idea here is, we all have done web forms. So for staff and all the data visualization, sort of picking options, it's just like option picking. There's no having to code, having no lines. It's just like picking options on a web form. That's it. That's all staff need to know how to do. which we've all done. Okay, the images. The images are all SVG format, scalable vector graphics. Does it work in Illustrator? Yes, it does. Does it work with Inkscape open source? Yes, it does. Are Inkscape and Illustrator just different enough that making both work was complete hell? Yes, it was. The figures, so let's talk about it, because this is sort of the heart of it. How do we generate these? How do we actually generate these figures with the Plotly? So they're all generated via Plotly. So they're all generated via Plotly. The data isn't stored in the WordPress database. They're stored, and I'll explain why. They're actually stored via just separate JSON files, which we essentially generate, which are just stored in a data folder within WP content. And so all that's in the database, all you have is a pointer to where the file is, and your file and your options for how you actually want to plot the thing. That's it. That's all that's actually sitting in the database. Why do it this way? Because it means you can separate the data science-y part of like data crunching and data transformation. You can separate that from your data viz. So here's kind of the process. So you have your own number crunching process, whatever it is. You have a process in R. You have a process in Python. You have a process in JavaScript. You have a process with your Abacus. I don't know. People do all sorts of things. And so, but whatever process you've got, you're going to drop a set of JSON files into a data folder. Or you can manually upload them also. And so then our plugin takes over, reads those files, and then plots whatever you want. But we're separating out the process of data crunching from data viz, which means whatever is your process, whatever is your method, whatever is your weird format for processing data, keep that. Do that. We can work with it. Okay. And the theme. So I didn't put an image here because I tried to do AI images of semi-headless things, and that turned out bad. So imagine something semi-headless. You know, they say like the worst horror is what you imagine in your own minds. So it's that. Imagine that. So we've heard of a traditional CMS, and of course there's a headless CMS. We're going a new path. We're keeping the head sort of on. It's the semi-headless horseman. I grew up in Irvington, New York, home of Washington Irving, who came up with the headless horseman. I feel this is the next generation, the semi-headless horseman. So what makes it semi-headless is that basically it's just the nav bar and the footer that's generated via PHP, like via the standard approach. But because what actually shows up on the page is so device dependent, most of the page is generated via JavaScript that's just making a whole bunch of API calls to the WordPress REST API. So just to back up a bit, what's the story here? We built graphic data, an open source platform for displaying interesting ideas with graphics and data. We want you to use it. We have a GitHub repo, which I'm going to get to. We want you to use it. We want you to collaborate with us. We want to get your ideas of how can we make this better? How can we make this work for your use case? We want to talk to each one of you and the ones in cyberspace. So that's the question. So what's now? We built this thing. We're still improving it. Version 1 of the code went up Monday. The documentation went up yesterday. So it's a work in progress. So what do we do with this? So come talk, come get involved. This is the room. This is the experts that we want to get involved with this process. Back to the mystery. How do you get that sticker? Well, the answer is, come say hello to me, and you get a sticker. Thank you very much. You are indeed awesome, and I think we've left plenty of time for questions. I think they asked if people would speak into the microphone if they could, if they have a question. Or, if there are no questions, or someone's coming up.
Hi there. I wanted to, first of all, thank you. I think this was a excellent presentation, really entertaining as well. I was curious about when you started this journey of creating the data visualization plugin, were there any existing resources that you pulled from, or did you all start developing the plugin yourselves, like from scratch?
It's pretty much all from scratch. The only piece that, the only dependency we have is SVG support, which is to handle SVGs within WordPress itself. Other than that, we kind of built it all from scratch. Because there's certainly resources out there for plotting in WordPress, but nothing that quite met our requirements. Like we wanted to be able to allow for others' data process, that sort of thing. So we built it all from scratch. And essentially what we did is we built a whole bunch of wrappers around Plotly. But they're wrappers that can also work around lots of other graphing libraries as well. Someone else is coming up with a question. I can't wait.
I'm just trying to get the picture again. I mean, we're using. I don't know Plotly, so I don't. So that's so. But your data, you say, is in a separate store. In the Word, you're using the REST API to get that data. Is that
great question? So let me actually go back a bit.
The question is, how are you using REST API?
Boop, 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 up. So if we think about it, so back to the SAP, so whatever process you have, you create, or you upload a CSV or JSON. Either way, we can use either one, which are formatted in a very particular way. And then what happens is that we're using a pre-existing job. So using that JSON file, essentially we have a wrapper around. So Plotly is a JavaScript graphing library. So essentially, what we do is we have a wrapper. So in like those drop-down web function, in those drop-down forms, you essentially select, I want this axis to be this. I want that axis to be that. I want the color to be green. All those things. So essentially, we have a wrapper function that feeds it all into the way that Plotly likes to see it. And then we plot that in the window. Does that answer the question? Does that answer the question of how this all works together? And so the question is, sorry about that. So the question is, where does the REST API calls come in? So it comes in essentially on page load. So on page load, when you say, I want to go to this figure. So okay, the code knows, okay, there's a figure here. Well, what figure? All I know is like I have an ID associated with this. Okay, what's this ID? So then you can go, so there's a whole bunch of fetches to the database to say what's associated with this ID, and inevitably it's with that post. There's a pointer to that file. There's a list of arguments for how to plot it, and then it goes and plots it. Other questions? Well, I've clearly stunned you into silence. Or disbelief, I'm not sure. It could go either way. But I'll be up here. I really do mean it. I would really love to talk to all of you. That's the reason I'm really here. I'm willing to bribe you with stickers. Other bribes also possible. And I just love to talk to all of you as much as I can. So thanks very much.